The idea is that the book, profits from book sales, can feed into the workshops that I do for youth charities. But I'm also being paid. For instance, this summer we were paid to run workshops at festivals, and then that funds workshops we do for free at schools, and then posh schools pay us to do workshops for them, and then I use the money from that to go and do workshops for schools that couldn't otherwise afford to pay us. So it's that sort of ad hoc vibe.
Welcome to Global Socialpreneurs, a one-of-a-kind talk show showcasing expert social entrepreneurs. Learn their stories and their secrets to creating a sustainable impact. Now, here is your host, social entrepreneur Anne Scotland.
Hi, and welcome back to Global Socialpreneurs. Thank you to all you viewers who keep joining us week after week. We're having so much fun on this show, learning what incredible social entrepreneurs around the world are doing, finding out their secrets, hearing their stories. And this purpose of this show is really to create more awareness around social entrepreneurship and the options that people have to go into it, to pivot existing entrepreneurships and businesses, and how making social and environmental impact in a for-profit method has a lot of advantages that in some cases, nonprofits don't. So thank you again for joining us. Please help keep us streaming by subscribing and liking on whatever platform you are. We really appreciate that. If you have any friend who likes making the world a better place, please forward them a link to the show. If you need a link, if you have any trouble finding anything, just email me. You can go to globalsocialpreneurs.com. My personal email address is on there. And so yes, and a few more announcements at the end. But for now, I'm so excited to dive into today's episode. My social entrepreneur guest is making an impact with children and teens that addresses mental wellness, the environment, and economy. So I think that's like, she hit all three. I'm super excited about her, and I'm super excited to introduce her. And normally I don't go this long, but I just love what she's doing, so I'm going to share it. So Tash Bell is a social entrepreneur and an author, and she was a seasoned TV professional who made a dynamic shift from that industry to country living with her children and family, which is amazing. Her debut of a young adult novel, her first novel, called The Swish, tells the story of Kat, a charity shop Cinderella. And this narrative, she's going to talk more about it, sparked Tash's passion for social entrepreneurship. It led her to launch the Swish, the swish.com.co.uk. You'll see it on the screen. Don't listen to me. theswish.co.uk. So she launched a sustainable fashion initiative that encourages young people to upcycle and create their own clothes. So through Swish and her fashion upcycling workshops, she's been in schools, youth charities, and Tash is aiming to empower teenagers, so amazing, fostering creativity and confidence while instilling that sense of social responsibility in the next generation. So I know that was a huge intro, but I'm so excited to have Tash here today. Please help me welcome her now.
Hello, thank you for that wonderful introduction. No wonder I feel so tired.
Amazing. I love the t-shirt and your background. I already feel the fun coming through.
Well, I take this dummy with me to all my workshops and to all the festivals I do. I lug it round with me. It's sort of my other half. So she's seen a few places.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. You're right. So I want to jump into, before we really get into the Swish, I want to jump in for a moment just to social entrepreneurship. You are a social entrepreneur, and what is it, in your opinion, that makes social entrepreneurship such a powerful tool for social change?
Well, I'm not an expert at all. I can only speak from my, limited experience. But I think the thing that's appealing about social entrepreneurship is it's a win-win, which you don't often get in life. So for social entrepreneurship, quite a mouthful. For it to work, you have to be offering something to people that they want enough to pay for. And that by giving them this thing or enjoying this thing, you're making the world a better place. So it's win-win. And for it to work, it has to be hitting all the marks. And, you know, you really are doing something quite exciting, and it becomes sustainable, and you can scale it up. All these things that are part of social entrepreneurship and can hopefully make it run and have a life beyond you. You know, that's what you want really for anything in the world. You want something that you've created to have a life beyond you. And social entrepreneurship, I think, allows that in an exciting way.
Absolutely. I love that. I love your answer. And what is it about social entrepreneurship that, from your experience, kind of exceeds some of the options that traditional nonprofit organizations offer as far as a model?
Well, for me, it allows a lot of flexibility. So I spoke to Adrian Ashton, I think he's been on your podcast previously, and he gave me lots of very good advice around it. And of course, to be a charity, you need fellow signatories. Charity really make their money through funding. Whereas social entrepreneurship, you can make your money. You know, you can get out there, get your hands dirty and be in the world, and you're making money, and then you make the money and you can then put it into other good things. I find that quite much more exciting, and you can be much more maverick if you like. You don't have to be answerable to other people. I think that's quite exciting. Especially when you're a sort of middle-aged lone ranger like myself. You just want to get on with it, and social entrepreneurship allows you to do that. And also you learn as you go, which I find very exciting. I say this to my kids a lot. You know, entrepreneurship is a really exciting way to go at life. You learn by doing. You know, you do stuff, some of it works, some of it doesn't work, but you always learn from it, and then you're on to the next thing. It's a really exciting sort of approach to life generally, I think. And I hope my children will become entrepreneurs in one way or another. And I think all of us now are increasingly becoming entrepreneurs in one way or another. You know, we've all got a side hustle going on. And if your entrepreneurship can also have a social angle, it's just amazing. It's so nice for everybody.
It absolutely is. And I say there's really no entrepreneurship that can't be a social entrepreneurship or social enterprise. You know, people can change it, pivot it. And it's, again, like you said, win-win or even win-win-win, because not only do you have the opportunity to make an income off of creating an impact, you're also leading by example. You're creating this actual sustainable change, whether that's social, environmental. And then you're also helping others. You know, we're providing jobs. You're helping other people realize how important it is to have a social purpose as opposed to just a financial bottom line purpose. You can have both, but the social impact is the higher purpose, which is just really a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, all right, so I'm going to dive in again to what you're doing. So in a minute, I'm going to ask you how Swish was born, like how that whole came to be. But first, just tell our viewers, what is your social entrepreneurship business, and what social problems are you helping solve?
So what the heck am I doing, basically? So basically, well, should I sort of give you the story of how I've got to where I am? Because it sort of explains it, really. So
sure, please.
I'm not a top-notch businesswoman by any means. Probably apparent by my backdrop. But I'm a writer. I'm a storyteller, if you like, by craft. So I used to work in TV. And then we moved to the country to have children. And then I worked for newspapers, writing for newspapers. And then from that, I progressed to writing a novel. My children were teenagers. I wrote a novel for teenage girls. I think sort of summoning my inner teenager probably, but also something for my daughters, about this girl, Kat, who's pretty hard up, but she has a superpower, and her superpower is that she can take old clothes and she can sew and design and turn them into wonderful new outfits. And she dares to make her own dress for the school ball. And will she pull it off? You know, will she get the boy? Will the bullies pull her down? You know, all that sort of stuff involved with that. And I took the story out to teenagers, and I found it really struck a chord with them. They loved the story, and they loved the idea of this girl creating new stuff from old and sewing. But they were like very much, oh, but that's not for us. We can't sew. And I thought it was such a shame. You know, I thought, you know, now more than ever, we need these sort of skills. And so that's where the sort of social entrepreneurship then start to take hold. So what I do is I run workshops for youth charities, for schools, where we teach teenagers really quite basic sewing skills and show them how to upcycle things. So because the key thing is that people think about sewing, they think, oh, dressmaking. They think, I can't make a dress out of scratch. I can't make trousers out of a piece of denim. But upcycling, you don't need to be a great sewer. I can't use a sewing machine. I'm a very basic sewer. But upcycling is all about going to a thrift shop or getting granny's dress and just taking the hem up, putting in some elastic, chopping a sleeve off, getting your fabric paints out and painting a cool design on a saggy pair of leggings. It's that sort of thing that anybody can do. All they need is basic skills and confidence. They need to be sort of given permission to try and given a few ideas and then pointed at YouTube. You know, there's so much on YouTube about how to do this sort of stuff. So that's what I'm doing. And so the idea is that the book profits from book sales can feed into the workshops that I do for youth charities. But I'm also being paid. For instance, this summer we were paid to run workshops at festivals, and then that then funds workshops we do for free at schools, and then posh schools pay us to do workshops for them, and then I use the money from that to go and do workshops for schools that couldn't otherwise afford to pay us. So it's that sort of ad hoc vibe, I would say.
Amazing. I love that. And I'm excited to hear more about the business part of it and just exactly what you outlined just now about how all that is working. But first off, to jump back and ask you one question. So, I mean, I've talked to you before and I heard the word sewing. So you don't use a sewing machine?
So last Christmas, I bought my daughter a sewing machine and we are yet to get it out of the box. Well, actually, we got it out of the box, got a bit terrified and put it back in the box. And we will get it out of the box properly. We will. It's not a waste of money, don't worry. But yeah, no, I'm not a great sewer. So what I like about sewing, which is part of my shtick actually, is I think sewing is really, sort of crafty sewing is really good for your sort of mental well-being. So I sew by hand in front of the telly. I will watch sitcoms with my daughters. And we all just sew quietly, and it's a bit of quiet time. And you can do quite a lot by hand. You don't have to be a super sewer, just a bit of running stitch and knotting. And I think that's what I'm trying to show young people, is you really don't need to be this sort of whiz with a sewing machine. And that's the idea. And also lots of kids don't have sewing machines. You know, they sewing machines cost a bit of money, but the needle and scissors, and then you're off and you're away, you know.
That's amazing, actually.
Yeah, so I'm a good advert for being fairly ham-fisted at sewing, but still giving it a go. And also thrifting. So see, what I'm wearing is a thrift top. So the minute you feel you've got basic sewing skills, you start to go thrifting more because you feel, oh, I can go into the thrift shop, and if it's not quite right, I can sort of adapt it. And just simply thinking that means you do more thrifting, and then you find more stuff you don't even need to touch because it's great. Or, you know, you get into more into swapping. Just opening your mind to all the fun of it. And the other thing that I think I really want to try and convey through my workshops and things and through my book is how much fun it's like a treasure hunt. When you go charity shopping, it's a treasure hunt. I do it with my daughters. It's a really lovely thing we do together. And you go in and you just think somewhere in there might be something you just love, or that looks amazing on you and that nobody else in the world is going to have. And it's just sitting there waiting for you to find. And I think that's a really nice, exciting idea. And it's very empowering because you don't need lots of money. And that's why I think I'm pitching this at teenagers as well. I think because when you're a teenager, you don't have much control. You don't have much power. You feel anxious about the state the world's getting in. There's not a lot you can do about it. But fashion and the clothes you wear is one area where young people can have some autonomy. You know, most young people do have autonomy over what they wear within their budget. So if you can show them the fun that can be had with not much budget, just showing a bit of, you know, initiative and originality and a bit of, oh, I might try this, I might do this. I think that's quite exciting, and it's really good for their confidence and self-confidence and, you know, feeling a bit individual and allowing them to build their identity rather than just sort of being a sheep that follows the sort of fast fashion herd.
It's really good for money management too, like teaching them money management skills early on. Like you don't have to buy the most expensive fashion items to have a style of your own, to look great. And
you don't have to feel apologetic about not having, you know, I'm sure you've seen Pretty in Pink. You know, I love the film Pretty in Pink, but of course she's the charity shop girl because she's poor. And I think it's nice to engender this idea that you're charity shopping as choice. You know, who knows whether you've got money or not? You're choosing to do this because it's a cool thing to do, and it's good for the planet, it's good for you, and takes the stigma out of it. You know, who cares? Money isn't the important thing. It's your sense of style and your sense of imagination. That's what matters.
Amazing. So we have to take a quick commercial break, but before that, I just want to say you give me hope, because my mom bought me a sewing machine when I was 6, because she sewed, and she had been a home economic teacher back in the day, and it was like part of her life. And I'm just all thumbs. And so actually using a sewing machine was painful physically and emotionally for me, because it was just dangerous. It was so challenging. And so I love this. And I didn't even realize until today that most of it can be done by hand. And obviously those who do so they can take it up another level. But amazing thinking of, creating your own fashions, and that anyone could literally do this, which is amazing.
Anyone could do it. All you need is a fabric.
Fabric. I mean, it's just so fun. So when we come back, I want to ask you, I want to hear a little bit more about the Swish, the book, what the story's about. Yes, but before then, as my producer is telling me, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
This show is brought to you in part by Collaboration Global. If you want to network and take your business to the next level while working with the most amazing like-minded people around the world, Collaboration Global is the place for you. I'm a member. I love it. If you would like to join one of their meetings and get introduced, scan the QR code now, and I will see you there.
Hi, welcome back to Global Socialpreneurs. I'm here today with the amazing Tash Bell from the UK, who is talking about her book for teenagers about upcycling clothing and how her social entrepreneurship is making a three-pronged impact in mental wellness, environmental conscientiousness, and the economy. So Tash, let's go back to the book, your novel for young adults, The Swish, and just tell us about the storyline, whatever you'd like to share.
Okay, the storyline. So Kat is my heroine. She's about 14, 15, and she is having a bit of a tough time of life. Her mum and dad are struggling to pay the bills, so they're fighting a lot. And she's recently acquired 2 very young twin sisters who drive her nuts. So, and she's being bullied at school. She's being bullied at school for basically being the poor kid in class. She can't keep up with all the fast fashion trends and buy all the flash gear. But she has got friends. She's got good friends, including a cute boy. And she's got good mates, and she's got a good sense of humor, and she's got a good sense of herself. And what she does is at home, she sews, her granddaughter to sew. And she sews old clothes. She goes around the thrift shops and gets cheap clothes and then turns them into incredible new outfits, her designer outfits. She wants to be a designer when she grows up, and this is what she does. And this is how she gets her happiness and her confidence. But she doesn't dare wear her outfits out because she gets ripped to shreds by the cool girls for wearing her charity shop chic. But then push comes to shove because the family can't afford to pay their heating bills for the winter. Simultaneously, the school ball is announced with a big cash prize for the best outfit at the school ball. And Kat's forced to go for the prize because her family need the money. So she's got to come out of the closet, as it were, and try to sew her own ball dress and then wear it down the competition catwalk in front of the school. And will she pull it off, or will she get ripped to shreds? And so that's the story. So that's why I'm calling her a charity shop Cinderella, because what I wanted to have a Cinderella story, but I wanted my heroine to make her own luck. I wanted her to make her own happy ending. Not to wait for some handsome prince to deliver or some fairy godmother to come out of the woodwork. So that was the idea behind the story. And then, of course, what I'm hoping is that girls and boys will read the book and go, oh, that could be me, that I could go to my local thrift shop and buy an old dress and take the hem up and turn it into something amazing. That's the idea.
I love it. I love it. That's so exciting. And I can see how much fun that is to have as a book that you present as a social entrepreneur. You're selling the book at your workshops as well as in the bookshops. And then the workshops, coming back to sort of that business model again, you were highlighting how you adjust the cost according to the payee. And give us an example of that again. Like some schools can't afford it.
Yeah, so it's actually, because I'm just starting out, it's been my first year of doing it. I find that people come to me and offer to give me money, and I go, oh, that's wonderful. I suppose be haggling some cunning deal. But what I'm discovering is, of course, some schools have no budget. So I go along, do it for free, or for libraries, or for young carers, charities. I work with them a lot. And of course, they've got no money. But then other schools, private schools, will have a bit of budget, and they'll say, come and do a workshop for us, and they'll pay me quite well for that. And then this summer, we had a great time. We went to a festival this summer, Green Man Festival. It's a very popular festival in Wales. And they paid for me and my whole family to tip up and basically do a workshop residency in a big tent. And festival goers came up to us all weekend, and we upcycled clothes, and they painted clothes, and they stitched clothes. It was amazing. All these young kids came and created incredible outfits. And we did a trash and show where I produced loads of bits of cardboard and silver paper and, you know, tinsel and stuff I'd got from a scrap store. And they made these incredible outfits and then wafted off back to the festival in them. And that was amazing. And they paid well for that. And then money from that, I've then been able to sort of spread out over the cost of workshops for the rest of the years. As my husband says, you know, go for it, but you've got to be able to wipe your own nose. Is his way of putting it.
You got to be able to wipe your own nose. I love that.
I have just about wiped my nose this year. But next year, it'd be nice I don't know how to put it, wiping other people's noses. I'd like to.
There you go.
Yeah. So this year, the trick is going to have to be scaling up, because at the moment I'm geographically restrained by where I can get to run workshops. But what I like to do perhaps is have other people running the workshops. I can format the workshop quite straightforwardly. I think it's a great thing.
I can see that being a global opportunity, right, for young people to get involved and have people in other locations who can lead on the ground training workshops, and then also maybe even some virtual work. I just get excited hearing about it. I mean, your project this summer sounds like so much fun. Like, I'm already having fun just thinking about it and being there, and it just sounds so creative and just such a bubbly experience.
Yeah, well, then you meet those people. That's what I love about it. You do meet people. And I would say, actually, if you're a social entrepreneur, one tip would be, because it's so hard starting out and you've got such a mountain to climb, is to enjoy the impact you have when you have an impact. So quite often I'll be doing a workshop thinking, oh, am I going to manage to sell any books at this workshop? But then you go, well, actually, you see somebody's face light up and then made something, or you see a girl starting out quite shy, but by the end she's created something she's really proud of. And that's, you have created an impact in that moment you have, and to not always be worrying about the bigger picture and what am I going to do next? And is this working? So when you do have an impact in the moment, to go, yeah, okay, that was good. That's what it's all about. It's making it small difference where I can.
How did you get involved in Girl Guides? Because that's also a great opportunity. So, I mean, for our listeners, viewers, that's sort of like Girl Scouts in the U.S. a little bit. So tell us more.
Well, that's again another example to other social entrepreneurs and of how you shouldn't give up first time. So I knew the headquarters of the Girl Guides Southwest, which is a big regional organization. I knew coincidentally they're up the road from us. So last Christmas, I sort of gave them a little love bomb with my book and a chocolate orange and some sort of treats and a sort of supplicating letter. And I never heard back. But I thought, I'll follow up. A couple of months later, I followed up with an email. And the head commissioner got back to me saying, oh, yes, I got your love bomb. It was brilliant. But sorry, I was just in the middle of moving house and I never got back to you. But we'd love to work with you and talk to Janice. Janice talked to Deirdre, get things going. And it all just took off from there. So don't be put off if the first time you knock on a door, nobody opens. You just got to bang a bit harder.
I love that. Yes. And so true, too, the persistence. And another thing that you said when we spoke last time was one of your keys to success is that you always follow up. Can you share why that's been so important to your social entrepreneurship?
Well, I think you've just got to keep. I got that tip from somebody I work with. She works for a museum. And she's contacting lots of schools about the wonderful thing her museum is doing for school children. It's such a nice sell. And they don't get back to her. And she says she has to sort of chase them 2 or 3 times just to hear back. And when I heard that had a real impact on me. I thought, well, there's this woman in a museum with a really great offering. She's not hearing back for them. And the penny drops that when you don't hear back from people, it's not about you. we always do this as people, don't we? We think that somebody's being towards us, it's all because of us. It's not because of what's going on with them. So you're just one other supplicant knocking on a door. They've got, they're moving house, or they're twisted their ankle, or they've taken their cat to the vet. You just got to keep trying, and you've got to keep being persistent. And I think when you're on your own as a social entrepreneur, you're very quick to go, oh no, they don't want me. Oh, my offering's no good. Oh, I haven't got this right. Or, oh, I'm too much of a lowly worm. You're very quick to put it on you. And you shouldn't. You should go, no, hang on, they're busy people. That's why I'm approaching them. They're busy, important, successful people. That's why I want a bit of them. And you just got to keep trying, and then perhaps go away eventually before they get out a warrant for your arrest.
There's always a point. There's always a point. Yes.
Exactly. Well, the cut-off point.
Right. Well, we have to go quickly to another commercial. And when I come back, we're going to get a few other bits of advice from you, ask a couple more questions about what it is that is so attractive to what you're doing with schools and organizations. So for our viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Ann SCOTTLIN. Are you one of those people who always wants to aim higher? Would you like to increase your profits and your personal fulfillment at the same time? And wouldn't you love to make a greater impact in your business and your life? If your answer is yes to any of those, find out more and send me a message at AnnScotland.com/special. I would love to work with you.
Hi, welcome back to Global Socialpreneurs for our final segment here today. I'm talking with the amazing Tash Bell from the UK, who's a social entrepreneur who is teaching upcycling in clothes for teenagers, has an amazing book called The Swish, which is a young adult novel that launched a movement and launched her own social entrepreneurship. We've been asking her about her business model and what she does. And I just want to move on now, Tash, to another question, which is, you've had the opportunity to get into public schools, posh private schools, work with the girls clubs and others. What is it that is so attractive to these groups, these organizations, about what you have to offer?
I think they really love the sustainable angle of it. So I think that's very big for people at the moment, for whether it's for schools or, institutions, or whether it's for the children, young people within them. And I think it means a lot. I think young people, particularly, they feel quite anxious at the moment. Mental well-being is a real, thing for young people. That they feel very anxious, very stressed, often quite socially isolated. And I think part of the anxiety is this sense that, the world's going to hell in a handcart, and what can they do about it? So upcycling, sustainable sewing, thrifting is a way that they can do something to help the planet. But it's also just the very act of it, the crafting nature of it is very good for anxiety, for stress, for well-being. It's a very soothing thing to do. And at the end of it, you've made something you're proud of. This very simple process is very good for your mojo and for making you feel good about yourself. And at the same time, you're helping the planet. And I think that strikes a chord with schools, particularly, are very keen for, and the Girl Guides are very keen to do something sustainable. I think that's definitely of the zeitgeist, quite rightly.
Yes. And you started doing this work with your own teenagers. And is this an opportunity too, where moms and daughters can come together and learn it at the same time?
Yeah. It's really interesting you say that, actually, because I think it is. So it's quite interesting. So one of the reasons I started doing this was when I was talking to teenagers, I'd go and run stalls at schools. And the girls would be interested, and often the mums would drag them away, because the mums just go, "Oh, I haven't got time to teach them." So, don't give me one other thing to feel guilty about, And I have such sympathy for them. They're working mums; they can't be sitting down doing macrame with little Joni after school. They're knackered. But actually, something that mothers and daughters can do together. Often the workshops I run, that the daughters come along, and it's mothers who start sewing and then end up finishing it. At the festivals over the summer, the mums would come and sew with their daughters. And I think that teenage age, where they're young teenagers and they still want to do stuff with mum, it's a really nice way of getting that sort of that moment together. When they get it older teens, they're sort of off and away, but sort of between the age of about 10, 14, 15, it's something that mums and daughters can do together. You can go thrifting together, go shopping together, and do a bit of sewing together. I think it is a nice thing to do. It's sort of, it's a shared thing, which I think is nice.
No, that's really special. It has so many opportunities to include other people. What about like doing workshops that are birthday parties and things like that?
Well,
Have you
that's
tried any of
I know
that?
people keep saying to me, you must do birthday sewing bees. It's I think
Yes.
that again might be something I try and explore this year, because I think that's a really nice way of doing it. You get them everyone along for a party, they all get sewn together because it's very social. So that's the other thing I really like about the workshops. I show the girls what they can play with. I say, you've got this, you've got these motifs, you've got materials, fabrics, pens, and then I say, you do what you want to do. And some girls will just chat. Other girls will really help each other out. Other girls will just be quietly getting on with it. But the idea is it's a social. I always play music. They can sing along to Taylor Swift. I think it would suit parties, actually. I think that is my next thing I want to try and do. It's just a matter of trying to advertise myself. But yeah, I think there's a market there where I could make a bit of money and then use that for charities.
And I can think sometimes, especially among the more maybe posher neighborhoods, this is kind of a fun trend because it's so different, which you've already experienced working with those schools. And then,
it's also virtue signaling.
Yeah.
It's so worthy,
Yes. And then, I can see if like the birthday parties, as you grow and expand, or you bring people from other areas into what you've built, birthday parties would be a great first wedge into communities, because they're all, if anyone has teenagers, they're going to know more teenagers, having or kids, birthday parties. But as then using the birthday party as an opportunity to promote that this can go into whole schools, that this can go into whole workshops, that this can go into events, sort of introducing it to a community on that small level, seems to me could really create some buzz. So yeah, really fun ideas.
I'll put that on my list.
Yeah. So tell us, is there a sequel coming up?
Yeah, I'm writing a sequel now, which I'm quite excited about, but I don't have any time to do it. So that's the other thing. That's the other thing about being a social entrepreneur, which I feel funny even calling myself that because it seems so grand, is trying to do all the different things you want to do when it's just you doing it. So obviously, just simply marketing the book I've written is quite time consuming. Running the workshops is time consuming. And then I'm aware that I've got to write the sequel. And I find it quite hard to find the time for everything. And then you then you start to feel you're failing. You feel you're failing on all fronts, and you start to beat yourself up a bit. So I think I've got to work on that side of things. I've got to get better at knowing what I'm aiming for and letting myself off the hook if I don't pull it all off.
No, I'm very familiar with this feeling. Like having like 16 pots on the stove and having to prioritize sometimes. And learning to, as I do with my clients, helping them expand through delegation, even if it's not paid positions, just expanding for other people who want to get involved, finding the right kind of help and support, and then kind of guarding their creative time. Because I think so many social entrepreneurs are people who think outside the box, who experiment, who try things differently. It's like we don't always follow the map the way someone else says we were supposed to. And so but most of us are very creative humans in one form or another. And sometimes in the business side, we can get lost. The creativity can be a little bit lost. Like your time for writing, that's probably, I'm guessing, a really creative outlet for you personally.
But I think that's why I don't allow it to myself, because I enjoy it.
Yes.
I feel like you should be doing that. That's too much fun. So you've got to do the other stuff. You find it more tedious,
So so it's a beautiful example, and I'm glad you shared it, because that's a very common challenge in social entrepreneurs and probably all entrepreneurs, but really kind of making that creative space sacred, and then finding other ways to be more efficient in running the rest of it, because at some point we need a team, and this next year it looks like you're going to be looking at what that might be. So if any of you watching are super excited about the Swish, about what Tash is doing, and you would like to talk to her, get involved, you can check out her information. It's been scrolling here at the bottom of the screen. You can reach out to her directly, or you can feel free to reach out to me at anscottlin.com or globalsocialpreneurs.com, and we'll make sure you get connected. So I think that even if you're on the other side of the world from the UK, there's people who should probably talk to you because they're sharing a similar passion.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from other people in similar boats. It'd be lovely. I mean, that's one of the nicest thing about social entrepreneurship, apart from the fact I can't pronounce it, is you do connect. I've this past year, I've connected with so many new people, and I've had conversations, and I've learned things, and I've just gone places I wouldn't have thought I would have gone to, and I find that really exciting. I mean, I've just turned 51 this year, I think, and it's really nice I feel like a teenager again myself, writing this book about a teenager and spending lots of time with teenagers and trying something so new. I think that's great, and I think we should all be trying to be a bit more teenage.
Yes, I love that. I love that you're kind of breaking the mold, finding a second wind, if you will, in life, and having fun, and you were in a very creative industry, in the TV and film and production industry. So, that was kind of high career kind of stuff. And you did that so well. And now it's like, now it's time for me to just have fun. And it's so much fun to see how you're making a difference. And that's one of the things I love about social entrepreneurship is we tend to be a little closer on the ground than some of the parts of, say, traditional large nonprofits where there's only a few people on the ground. Social entrepreneurs, which are often solo entrepreneurs that grow into a social enterprise, we're on the ground, we see the difference. You see the smiles on the faces, you hear the stories from the teachers and the moms, and you just feel like you're part of something, and you have the opportunity to make a profit, which is the bottom line in social entrepreneurship, is you don't have to work for free. As always, reminding our viewers, you can make a profit while making an impact and really lead by example so that everyone is becoming more abundant and more successful, which is really exciting. Well, Tash, I could talk to you for hours. You're like one of my favorite people ever. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. I know a lot of people are going to enjoy hearing about this, and I'm so excited to share what you're building.
It's been really lovely to be able to talk about the Swish.
Thank you. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. And thank you to all of our viewers for tuning in today, viewers, listeners. Please, again, help us keep this information going, streaming, like and subscribe on the platform you are on today. And if you know another social entrepreneur who would be a great guest on the show, please let me know. Please reach out to globalsocialpreneurs.com or scotland.com and let me know if there's anything that you could share that would be helpful to our show. We're also looking for new sponsors for the show. So if you knew someone who believes in this and is in tune with this kind of audience, then let us know. And lastly, do a friend a favor, someone else who has a heart-centered life and business and wants to make a difference. They might love listening to the stories on this show, so please share it as well. Thank you again, all of you. And as always, be kind to others today and be kind to yourself. See you next time. Bye.